Welcome to the return of Who Wore It Better, where I review Raw and Smackdown back to back and try and figure out which show won for the week. Yes, I'm officially back from my 1 week detox of Raw and Smackdown. It felt kind of good. It felt liberating. It was nice to, go to bed at a reasonable hour on Monday and Tuesday nights, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't miss it just a little bit. And so I'm back here to suffer with all of you, and so let's begin. Seth Rollins opens up Raw, and his theme music is taking a weird turn because you hear the phrase, "burn it down," like being repeated over and over again as the music goes on. I'm like, oh no, this is not his new music, is it? Did I miss this change from last week? I don't like this change. I think this is not, it's not the norm though. It went back to being normal by the end of the night. Seth calls out Baron Corbin. He wants to spit some truth. He says Raw has sucked as of late because of Baron Corbin. Yeah, that's the ticket. He brings up, the revival, the urination, Brock Lesnar's the champion, the all-time low ratings. Vince McMahon has written a segment in which he acknowledges the shortcomings of Raw, and he's using Baron Corbin as a proxy, or as a sounding board, that Seth Rollins, and therefore the fans, can yell at and take the aggression out on. It is very weird. It is very insane how self-aware Vince has become, but he's he's acknowledging it in this very roundabout way. Seth challenges him to a match, a TLC match, no less. Corbin says no, but Rollins goads him into it by calling him a coward, which is pretty funny. Him literally just poking the bear, poking Baron Corbin, poking the Baron Corbin, until Corbin finally says yes. But now Corbin ups the ante and says it's going to be for the Intercontinental Championship. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Simply acknowledging that a problem exists on the show is not the same as fixing the problem. It's one thing to say, hey, we screwed up. It's very rare that they would admit such a mistake. But again, the idea of Corbin being the symbol of all that is wrong with the show right now is such an interesting choice. And as the show went on, literally every time a heel did anything, the commentary went, well, this is all Baron Corbin's fault. It's all Baron Corbin's fault. No, it's not the fault of the guy writing the damn show. It's just like literally every other sentence out of Renee Young's mouth on Monday was, oh my God, Baron Corbin, you guys. The Raw tag titles on the line as AOP and Drake Maverick together defend against the team of Ruble in a 3-on-2 handicap match. A follow-up from last week when Drake got the smarmy heel manager gets the dirty win with the help of AOP in what became a handicap match at the hands of Baron Corbin. So it's a 3-on-2, and I will say, I do enjoy the fact that Gable and Rude are now matching. They both wear trunks. They have matching robes, matching rotating platforms in their entrance. It's adorable, but it's also just very nice that they actually look like a team now. I can finally, okay, yes, this looks like an actual legitimate tag team because they got matching gear. It's very nice. Early on the match, Ruble hurled Drake over the top rope and into AOP. Just the height that Drake Maverick got in that toss was amazing. AOP destroy Chad and Bobby. Drake wants to get the glory for himself again, so he pins Bobby in a lackadaisical way. Rude rolls him up and pins him, and now Bobby and Chad are the new Raw Tag Team Champions, which was kind of a shock. It was a nice little surprise to see this tag title change. And I know that I was down on the team of Rude and Gable early on for the first several weeks, first couple months of this team, going, well, what's the end game? What's the point of this? But sure enough, as time went on, I'm willing to admit they've actually been built up like a credible team. Like, they've been getting a lot of big wins. They've been on TV a lot. Finally now they actually have a cohesive look. I think that a matching look can really make a world of difference in a team and making it look like a cohesive, like true team. And so it was very nice. Again, credit to them for making it work and pulling it off with this tag title win. So I have no problem with it. Natalya comes out to talk about Ruby Riott, her opponent in the tables match at TLC, and she brings up the Montreal Screwjob, which, okay, WWE, we get it. The Montreal Screwjob happened. It was over 20 years ago. Anyone who thinks that Bret Hart can't let go of that thing is delusional. It's clearly Vince McMahon and WWE who cannot let go of this moment. Like, we get it. You got like one really cool moment that blurred the lines of fiction and reality, and now you can't stop pounding this thing into the ground. Okay, fine. With a tear in her eye, Natalya is going to dedicate her match on Sunday to her dad, Jim Neidhart. Ruby Riott comes out, and she says Natalya has disgraced the Hart family name, which she kind of has a point, because when Natalya was a heel not too long ago, that's pretty much what she was doing. She was was constantly name dropping the Hart family, and so that was kind of doing a discredit to the family name. And then, Ruby reveals this table with Jim Neidhart, his image plastered on it, which I thought was hilarious. And, Ruby says she's going to drive Natalya through this table so she and her dad will be closer than ever. Oh my God, this is great heel heat. I love that. We get a rematch with Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler last week on the show that I missed. Dolph Ziggler turned face and actually beat Drew McIntyre in a one-on-one match with the help of Finn Balor. It was Drew's first pinfall loss since going back to the main roster earlier this year. So the match goes on. At one point, Drew drops Dolph with like a white noise from the second rope, and Dolph lands so hard on his arm and his shoulder, I thought it was going to like break or dislocate or something. Very hard landing. Valiant fight by Dolph, but Drew wins with the Claymore. So hey, 50-50 booking. Then at the end of the match, afterward, Drew beats down on Dolph some more, hits him with a big boot into the LED board and everything. I'm surprised they didn't have the glitch effect put in there after he drove Dolph into it. We get Bayley versus Alicia Fox as more hype for the Mixed Match Challenge, and in the midst of all this, they remind you that Sasha Banks had the first ever women's match in the Middle East with Alexa Bliss, which is completely not true, because even if you don't include the fact that TNA did it years before the fact, there's also the fact that WWE had done tours in the Middle East before, and maybe not in the same country that Sasha and Alexa happened, but they had women's matches there, so they've happened. And then, of course, if you look back in history, there's the Women's Tag Team Championships, the original ones, and according to their timeline, their history, at one point the belts changed hands in Egypt. And even if that's a Rio de Janeiro gimmick, according to their story and their universe, it still happened, so why you always lying? The Singh brothers get involved near the end, and that brings out Apollo Crews, who is the 73rd replacement in this Mixed Match Challenge for this year. He is filling in for Finn Balor, who is injured/sick. The stories seem to be conflicting right now. Anyway, so Apollo Crews comes in, evens the odds. Bayley wins a pretty decent match with the belly-to-belly. It's time for a Dean Ambrose promo. He runs down Seth Rollins and says that Seth has a huge ego. Charlie Caruso asks him, what would Roman Reigns think of all this? And then she tosses to a highlight package that shows the whole sordid history between Seth and Dean since Roman left television, and Dean just walks away, doesn't give any answers. David Bixenspan made a really good point about this on Twitter on Monday, where he said, a great way to have cleared up this whole angle and the motivation for Dean would be if Dean never liked Seth, but just tolerated him because Roman liked him, but now that Roman's gone, Dean doesn't have an excuse to be nice to him. That would be a nice little thing. They've explained why Dean left and broke up with Seth, but at the same time, it still left you asking questions. It wasn't a very clear, to me, it wasn't a very clear explanation. So, that would have been one way to fix it, but as you can tell, that's not what they did. We get Elias versus Lio Rush, the mouthpiece of Bobby Lashley, and hey, who's that ref in the match? It's Heath Slater. Last week, he beat his former tag team partner Rhino for the final coveted spot on the Raw roster. But swerve, Baron Corbin has made him a referee instead. So now Heath is the reluctant referee going forth here. Leo gets a couple of shots in, but Elias has the match won until Lashley runs in and beats him up. Heath wants to ring the bell, but Lashley will not let him. Heath and Leo beat up Elias together, including with a guitar shot to the back, and so Heath just stands there looking pretty sad. It's very similar, and also, by the way, Leo wins the match by pinfall and everything. It's very similar to the previous week when Drake Maverick beat up and pinned Bobby Roode after the AOP got involved. It's the same exact angle, but with different ingredients. We get the much hyped face-off between Nia Jax and Ronda Rousey. Alexa Bliss is hosting this thing. Technically, she's the moderator, but she's such a non-factor in this thing, you wonder why she was even billed to be a part of it. Nia Jax opens with a very strong promo. I think it was a very good promo she delivered. Again, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Say what you will about her work in the ring. It is not perfect, but I do think that the more she owns her position right now as kind of a pariah and cuts promos like that, I think that she's really diving into her current role very well. I think she's doing a very good job with her promos right now. At least I think this to me is an improvement from one of her last soliloquies. This one I think was very, very solid. Ronda Rousey comes out and just says she wants to fight. And so yeah, good rebuttal there. And then Ember Moon comes out and we have a match between Ember Moon and Tamina. Crazy to think this was the end result to this segment between these two other women that was hyped the entire night before this. Ember Moon wins the Eclipse. In our main event, it's the first TLC match on Raw in 6 years as Seth Rollins defends the IC title against Baron Corbin. And hey, who's refereeing this match? Why, it's our old friend Heath Slater. So Seth and Baron have their violent match, and then as Seth has the match won, he's climbing the ladder. Heath Slater betrays Seth and pushes the ladder over. What the hell, man? Seth super kicks him, much to the crowd's delight. Seth power bombs Baron through the table beforehand. He climbs the ladder, grabs the bell rings. So what the fuck was the point of the referee there? Here's the thing. So with Corbin losing so decisively, where do they go from here? Because, was this match and this result supposed to placate the fans who are mad at Vince McMahon? Baron Corbin, for all the atrocities he's committed on Monday Night Raw as of late? Rollins beating Corbin feels good in the short term, but, what was the point of giving that away on the go-home Raw when each of these two guys are involved in totally different storylines? This match changes nothing about the landscape of Raw and changes nothing about the creative direction. Like I said, acknowledging the problem is not the same as fixing the problem. And so they can't just rest on their laurels and say, okay, well, we've had, the Vince McMahon puppet be beat by Seth Rollins. Let's go back to business next week. No, you can't do that. You have to actually try and address the issue and fix the problems. I will say I am curious with Heath Slater as referee and seeing where that goes in the long term. I feel like, there's zero time between Heath Slater as a referee. Now Heath Slater's costing people matches. They went to that way too quick, I think. It was very hot-shotted. I would have, I think it would have been okay if they let a few more weeks go to let that marinate and they just go right away to Heath Slater trying to cost Seth the match. So, maybe this will build into more of a reluctant referee thing where it's he's got to do it for his kids and for his family and has to keep costing people matches. We'll see where this goes, but I feel that it was very fast to get to this point. So where do they go from here? SmackDown begins with the new Daniel Bryan, the champion, coming out to cut a promo. He runs down the fans, the people of Las Vegas. He has now upgraded them from sheep to parasites. Mustafa Ali, his opponent for the evening, interrupts, and Bryan tries to talk Mustafa out of wrestling because the people don't deserve this. They don't deserve this matchup. And he asks Mustafa, what kind of car do you drive? And Mustafa says an SUV, and Daniel berates him for it. He slaps Mustafa, and then Mustafa fights back, and the match is on. I will say it's really cool that this match is happening at all on SmackDown. Is a very fresh match, and for Daniel Bryan, the champion, the big top guy of the company, in theory, going against the top guy or one of the top guys, one of the top stars in 205 Live, is a great exposure for not only Mustafa but also 205 Live. Although the fact you've got these two together and they're so similar in size really makes you wonder why there's such a segregation between the cruiserweights and the non-cruiserweights. When you have a cruiserweight, who is your top champion? Daniel wins the match with his leg submission. Then afterward, he continues the assault on the ramp of Mustafa Ali. More of the leg hold and everything. Ooh, that evil Daniel Bryan. Like I said, really cool to see these two fight at all. Very good exposure for Mustafa. A good platform for him on the main stage of SmackDown. And it was a fun match. We get a rap battle between The Bar and the Usos with the New Day as your moderators. Kofi and Xavier are wearing Dumb and Dumber inspired tuxedos for this thing. It's in Las Vegas, Nevada, not Aspen, Colorado. So I don't know what the significance of them dressing like that was. Just probably some inside joke or just being funny, as they are wont to do. Speaking of funny, oh my God, Sheamus looks ridiculous with his Kangol hat with the mohawk protruding through it. That was a very nice touch. And then he and Cesaro do a version of Ice Shamey. That was amazing, so entertaining. And then the Usos spit hot fire of their own. They reference Cesaro jamming his teeth up his gums last year on the turnbuckle at No Mercy. Then after they're done, they have a big 3-team scuffle with the Bar standing tall at the end. It is nice to see them look strong at the end of a segment for a change. And this, I thought, very entertaining and a nice build. It wasn't a match, but it was a nice build for their 3-team match at TLC. The Miz has custody of the Best in the World Championship. That's a sentence I never thought I'd hear. He calls Shane McMahon out, and he basically says, we are meant to be together as a team, and to prove it, I've signed us up for another match again with these two local boys, the Vegas boys. Here they come out, some more local talent. And it's just so similar to what happened a couple weeks ago with The Miz. Instead of The Miz losing to the Jobbers, Shane single-handedly takes on these two Jobbers by himself, including a really weird botched-looking float over DDT into a triangle choke, and so Shane wins wins for his team. And there you go. It's just so bizarre. Because then backstage, Paige is mad at the referee for getting involved, and she gets mad at the local talent who invoice her $5,000 each for their participation because The Miz said that they could charge $5,000 each. I'm not going to say I hate this. I'm not going to say it's bad. I'm just not into it. I have no idea what to make of this. Should I be cheering The Miz, booing The Miz, feeling sorry for him? I don't know. Randy Orton's in the ring cutting a promo. He delivers an ode to the steel chair. Oh, what a wonderful invention the steel chair is. He talks about his opponent for Sunday, Rey Mysterio. He says he's going to make Rey his victim once again on Sunday. Before he can finish his promo, Rey jumps him from behind with a steel chair, that wonderful invention Randy was talking about, and Randy runs away. And so Rey stands tall. So it's nice to see him, again, like the bar, nice to see Rey standing tall for a change as we go to the go-home. Up next, Rusev and Jeff Hardy take on Samoa Joe and Shinsuke Nakamura. I don't believe any of these guys are booked for a match at TLC this Sunday, which, I mean, it's kind of fine because, I mean, just looking at the card, there's a shitload of matches on TLC right now. We don't need any more, so maybe let's pull that off until the Royal Rumble or something like that. The match begins with R-Truth and Carmella just showing up, doing a dance, and leaving. Well, nice seeing you guys, just to remind us that you're there and you exist. It was a good match on its own. Rusev hits Shinsuke with the Macha kick to win, so more momentum for him going forward in the feud. Backstage, Shane confronts The Miz. He is hopping mad at what The Miz did earlier tonight, and Miz admits he did what he did because he wanted to awaken the fire, that McMahon fire, under Shane, and so he asserts they must be a team together because they're the best in the world. Miz puts his hand out there. Shane refuses and walks away. You get a slow push on that lonely hand. Okay, now I'm just confused because, you know, there was that rumor that this is going to turn into a Shane heel turn. I don't know if that's the case. It doesn't feel like it's going to happen to me because at this moment, he's definitely the sympathetic one of the two between he and Miz. Like, I don't know, again, don't know what to do. Don't know how to react to this. After an AJ Styles promo, we go to our main event, Charlotte versus Asuka, a WrestleMania rematch. It's a very competitive match, very fun to watch. The finish ends in a DQ when Charlotte produces a kendo stick from under the ring and thwacks Asuka with it. So is Charlotte a heel now? I think she is. I'm not entirely sure. Lots of shades of gray right now going on in the scene at this point. Charlotte, Becky, and Asuka are all throwing down. Asuka clubbers both of them with a kendo stick and stands tall at the end. So again, she looks very good going into the TLC match on Sunday, but time will tell. Time now for me to decide which show won for the week, Raw or SmackDown. This was a bit of a tricky one for me to decide this week, and I know, as crazy as that sounds, because I think that both shows had a lot to offer, and no show really had like truly bad moments across either show, in my opinion. Ultimately, I will go with SmackDown as the winner. I think they just had more of an entertaining show with less time. It was a tighter show, maybe a bit promo heavy for the time they had, but that's kind of a nitpick. Honestly, I'm just not into the Shane Miz stuff. It's like, I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. Right now, it's just kind of there for me, and I just kind of want to get that over with. Meanwhile, on Raw, I enjoyed the tag title change. That was kind of a cool way to do it. It keeps the heat off AOP. Like, they're not losing. Drake Maverick is losing, so AOP still kind of looks strong in that way. They still have an uphill battle because they still have to deal with the whole AOPP thing. Jim the Table Neidhart, I thought that was hilarious. I thought it was great heel heat. I actually love that promo. Nia Jax's promo was very strong, as I mentioned, and the TLC match had some moments of brilliance as well. There's the thing I'm just kind of stupefied about with Raw right now is the use of Corbin as Vince. It's kind of like a band-aid for a larger issue, and I hope they don't think that what happened on Monday with the TLC match absolves them of anything. And also, I think the issue with Heath Slater as referee, I like the idea of Heath Slater as referee. I just feel they rushed it and kind of went into the whole thing where he's like actively costing people matches like so quick. It escalated immediately. And I think that was just kind of like, okay, slow down, you know? Take me out to dinner first before you do that. So that was kind of my thought about it. Let me know what you thought about Raw and SmackDown this week in the comments section below, and be sure to vote which show you thought was better in the gimmick in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Be sure to thumbs up this video if you like it, subscribe to Wrestling with Regret, buy the t-shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com with 4 fabulous new designs, and go to patreon.com/wrestlingwithregret for exclusive perks and bonus content, including my TLC predictions coming very soon. I'm Bryan Zane, and I'll see you next time.